And we are very pleased to welcome on the phone lines right now another special guest joining us, a member of the 1966 Texas Western Championship team, all the way from California. It is Harry Flournoy. And Harry, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy evening and joining us here on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Harry, this is Coach.
Yes.
Thank you for calling me Christmas.
Oh,
No, Harry called me Christmas, Steve, and we talked 45 minutes or an hour. I don't know what it cost him. I tried to reverse
it.
Well, Harry, I'll tell you what, we all have a special place in our heart for you. Now, Harry's still working. You're going to retire here before long, and I know you've had a few opportunities to go around. And, you know, the thing that really hurts me is what we talk about putting 1 year in 40 years, because this could have happened 10 years after that was over.
Yeah.
And I never would go for a script. I've heard a lot of people say, well, why did it take that long? Well, you should have seen some of the scripts I saw from some of your big studios. And then finally, I know I called all the guys. I don't think we made, all the money was split. It wasn't a heck of a lot, but we all got the same. And the thing that we all wanted was a fairly true story. Now, there's a little Hollywood in this story. One of the parts that a lot of people have asked me about was Harry Flournoy's mother really never come. You might tell them about that.
Well, she did. I wish that part was Hollywood, but she did. She did, and I think that afterwards I asked the coach if we could just work this out between him and I.
I remember that well.
That was hard.
Your mother was a wonderful woman, and I'll never forget. And I did eat his blueberry pie. I don't know. I don't think he complained that much about it like he had in the show, but or maybe he did. I don't know.
No,
but,
my mother wouldn't have let me.
I remember sitting talking to her, and she told me, Harry was a very good student in high school, and was doing very well. And I think when he was a sophomore, he missed a couple classes. And when I asked him about it, he said, "Well, I'm making a B in this class." And I said, "That's not the question. I don't want you missing class." And that prompted me to call his mother, because she had asked me in her home that if he misses, would you call me? Yeah. So I did.
Yeah, well, you are a man of your word.
Harry, take us back to when Coach Haskins first arrived to recruit you. Was this something that, I know the movie tells the story as well. You really didn't want to come and weren't expecting to see him there. How truth was that to the to actually the visit when you were first lured to El Paso by Don Haskins?
Well, some of it was true, but some of it wasn't. I first met Coach Haskins on my way home from lunch. I was in high school, and he pulled up alongside of me in a car. Him and I think, what's the guy's name? Jack Hobbs.
Jack Hobbs,
yep, Jack Hobbs. And he told me who he was, and he was from Texas Western College, where a place I had never heard of.
Yeah, Harry, you're forgetting one thing.
What's that?
You wouldn't get in the car.
That's right. Well, I was getting to that. I wouldn't get in the car going to home or coming from home. I would not get into the car. So part of that story was true about me not wanting to really have contact with him, but I was not at the steel mill when that happened.
Was it for you? Was it a pretty easy sell once Coach Haskins was at the house and had a chance to talk to your mom and to yourself?
Well, it was pretty easy after that happened, because he had already sold my mom on the school. So, she said that's where I was going, and that's where I was going. You know, I tried to talk her out of it because I even asked her if she had ever been to Texas, and I asked her, "Have you ever been to El Paso, Texas?" And she looked up at me and she said, "Well, no, I've never been there, but you can tell me all about it next summer when you come home."
Oh boy.
And when you first arrived to El Paso and spent your first few months on the campus, did it take a while for you to adjust, or was it a pretty easy adjustment period for you?
No, it took a little while because, you know, coming from Gary, Indiana, and the school environment that I came out of, I went to a majority white high school, and they didn't want us there, and I was kind of skeptical of white people. And going down there, I had people who were trying to be friendly, like Louis Bedoin and Jerry Armstrong and Togo Rayleigh, and I was kind of skeptical, and it took me a while to adjust. And furthermore, I had never been that far from home either, so it was an adjustment period for me.
At the same time, when you mentioned some of those players that really reached out to try to make you feel comfortable, who was it on the team that you bonded with soon and became more and more comfortable as you started playing for Coach Haskins at Texas Western, Harry?
Well, naturally there was Orson. You know, we were from the same place. But then you had Togo Rayleigh was the one who really reached out. You know, he would come by on the weekends and he would pick all of us up. He wouldn't just pick up Jerry and Lewis. He'd pick Orson and us and myself up too, and we would go and we would do little things, and you know, we never got into trouble though, but we would just do little things around El Paso, and I really started feeling real comfortable doing that. And then another incident was when we were in Roswell, New Mexico. Louis Bedoin, they wouldn't let me eat at this restaurant. So he said if I couldn't eat there, none of them would eat there. And we went to another place, a little hamburger joint, and he asked them if all of his friends could eat there. He didn't ask if the black player or the colored player or the Negro player, whatever the term was then, could eat there. He asked if all of his friends could eat there, and that just about did it for me. I just fell right in with those guys.
Harry, was I along? We're at Roswell, because I had that happen the first year over at Abilene, and they wouldn't let. I had Nolan Richardson, Willie Brown, and we had two Bobby Joe Hills.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't let us stay in a hotel. Well, they said the black players couldn't stay, and I said nobody will stay. What were we doing? What happened over in Roswell?
Oh, that was.
Was that a freshman game?
That was in the freshman game. Yeah.
Oh,
with,
okay.
Mo, Coach Iba.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Coach Iba should have told him when that happened, you find another place to eat. But,
he wasn't there.
Oh,
he wasn't there then. No.
Well, who was there?
It was just the players.
Oh, he wasn't with you at the restaurant.
No.
I see.
No, it was,
I see.
It was after the game.
I see.
We had played the game, and
I've
then
never heard this
afterwards
story.
we were going out to eat. Yeah, it was just the players, and it wasn't but one player that complained about it. You know who that was. I'm not even going to mention his name. and the rest of them, we wouldn't eat there. So it kind of sealed it for me.
Yeah.
Harry Flournoy joining us here on the Don Haskins Show. It was kind of interesting when we first talked about your first year or so with UTEP and then Texas Western. You talked about really how the players kind of bonded and everybody really tried to get you more comfortable in the city since you weren't familiar with it. Coach, that's something we don't hear a lot about these days, especially with college basketball today. Players that will go out of their way, like some did with Harry, just to try to to get him more comfortable and acclimated to the city.
One of the things that bothered me the most about the movie when they're trying to go over the script, they kept trying to make a black and white thing out of it, and that was the furthest from the truth. It might have sounded good, but I finally told them, and I know one day it was funny. Christopher Cleveland, the guy that was the script writer, asked a couple of the guys, and it was one of the white guys, one of the black players, and did you guys, he was trying to get him put words in their mouth. He said, you guys didn't get along together all the time, and finally one of them, might have been you, Harry, said, no, there was only one guy we didn't like, and they pointed at me, so.
Not me.
Huh?
I like you.
Oh, boy. Harry, I liked you. I liked anybody that go after every rebound. You were one of the leading, I don't know where, but you're in the top 3 in the nation in 6'6" in rebounds. A lot of people think that Latin was their top rebounder. It wasn't close. I think he averaged 6 or 7. Harry didn't lead many. Harry, I think he averaged 11, 12, or 13.
11. What happened was that year, I was told by a lot of people that my rebounding average would go down in my senior year because of David. And, I just didn't like people putting limitations on what I could do. I wasn't the best player, but I was one of the hardest working guys there. So I knew that I was going to be close, if not at the same rebounding level that I was in my junior year. I was averaged more in my senior year than
in your junior
year.
year. Did you? I don't remember stats. I just know you're a great rebounder. The thing that always amazed me, I'd look at old films, and the ball would go on the board, and you'd always touch it. Whether you got it or not, you touched it. And that is the mark of a great rebounder.
Well, I would always try to, it was rebounding that just worked. I should have averaged 10 in my sophomore year, but Mullins gave Jim all my rebounds at home.
When you're asked what the trick was to rebounding, you say it's just all hard work.
Yeah, two things, rebounding and defense is work. That's what it is. It's work. Everybody can play offense because everybody likes to play offense. That's the first thing that you learn because it's not as hard. But when you play defense, it makes people who are playing offense that you're guarding have to work harder. They don't want to do that. And you got to work hard just to play the defense. So it's all about heart and hard work.
Speaking of rebounding, it was a little more than 40 years ago where you were immortalized for the first time on the cover of Sports Illustrated when you took the rebound from Pat Riley. So that's right. You go all the way back. And the cover that, is the most famous cover from that game shows nobody else but Harry Flournoy right there taking that rebound.
Well, I wasn't taking it from Pat Riley because that was my rebound anyway. And I looked at it as everything that went up there was mine. I mean, when they would go up, they would look like beach balls. And, I just tried to be around the ball. And as far as that magazine, I knew because we had won that game, that the subscriptions might go down, and they needed that just to pick it back up again.
It's amazing, Coach, how more and more people started buying Sports Illustrated after Harry was on the cover. You look back at not only that game, but I want to ask you about the film. You got to know, I'm sure, the actors in that movie, plus the one that portrayed your character. Was that fun just being around those guys and giving them a little bit of knowledge and insight to the way it really was that that year and years preceding it?
That was wonderful. I'll tell you something. When we went to El Paso for the premiere, I saw it twice then, and that night show was a benefit show, and they had this little reception before that, and I walked into the room, and I saw him, and we had never met, and I walked up to him, and I stuck my hand out, and I said, Harry Flournoy? And he says, yeah, and I said, Harry Flournoy. And he almost fainted. He almost fainted. So, it was it was really, really, really special just to meet those guys because they were really nice people, too. And I'm glad that we had nice people that played those different roles there. They weren't full of egos and stuff like that. They were really nice people.
Not only, Harry, were the actors, but Tim Floyd spent 4 months with them. And of all the movies, sports movies I've ever watched, normally they don't show the total body. They get the head and shoulders like in Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I never noticed until after I watched that. But Tim spent hours and hours with these guys. And, I watched a couple of their practices, and it was brutal. I'll tell you what, he really put them through the paces.
That's good. They're young. They could do it.
What was most exciting for you? The ESPYs, the trip to the White House. When you look back at everything that's really transpired since the movie, what did you enjoy most?
Well, it's hard to say, but, I'd say that the White House trip, because we got to meet the leader of our country. I mean, there are issues that we don't agree on, but he is our leader. And just going there, that's something that you dream about. You dream about seeing a president, meeting him, and I finally got to do that. So that there was the most exciting moment. The ESPYs were nice, and the red carpet was very nice. I tell you, though, that one thing I wish could have happened out of all of those things is that the coach was able to go to all of those things. I understand the health problems, and I wish that he could have went to all of those events. We really missed you.
Well, Harry, I would love to have been there. You guys, I just sitting here while you were talking, thinking, when I was talking to your mother many years ago in your house, and Gary, that it would be awesome if she had lived long enough to see that.
Oh yeah. I wish that she could have.
Yeah.
Really do. I think about that too.
Harry, before we let you go, give us an idea of what's going to be next for you. Are there any projects at all involving some of your teammates from the 66 group? What's coming up for you down the road?
Well, we're trying to get confirmations on a trip over to Europe to talk to the soldiers over there, and we got an awards presentation in Ohio that we're supposed to be going to. I think it's in March, the Hank Aaron Diversification Award, and those two things are what I see on the horizon. Hopefully in September it'll be Springfield.
And hopefully the man sitting next to me will be right there with you and your teammates for that presentation.
I'll tell you
That'll
what,
be there.
I plan on that.
We'll put batteries in you. If anything, we'll put some batteries in you.
Well, Harry, listen, it's been
I plan on being there.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. And the next time you're back in El Paso, we'll definitely get you on here and love to have you in person with the coach on the Don Haskins Show.
Let me say this one thing before I leave. I keep hearing them speak about John Wooden and Dean Smith and Bobby Knight. Well, that man there, Don Haskins, should be mentioned in the same breath with all of those people, because he did a lot to revolutionize the game of basketball. He put the work back in the basketball.
Harry, thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
more than
that.
welcome.